Hi folks, welcome to Set Apart Homestead, the prepared homestead, which is kind of a new thing that I'm kind of working on. I haven't quite figured it all out, but you know, the name Set Apart Homestead for the YouTube channel is going to stay because there's definite meaning behind that many of you know about. The prepared homestead may be something that I would, you know, be kind of a, I could say a parent company, even though that's not going to be company, you know, business or anything. I'm working on a website and blog, things like that. Not YouTube, Facebook page, that sort of stuff that'll probably be under the title of the Prepared Homestead, which kind of really is all-encompassing of all the things that we talk about on this channel. So just giving you folks a heads up. Today, I want to talk about something that I've talked about before, but it's been a while, and I hate to just regurgitate a video's topic, but there are some things that, you know, need to be talked about more than once. And I think this is one of them, and it's how to connect with other people like you, how to get involved, and maybe it's a group, or maybe it's just, you know, building up your own community in your location of like-minded folk. It's something that I feel is really necessary. And you know, there's people on here that are really big on the lone wolf mentality, and I am not necessarily opposed to that. You know, if I was completely single, had no, you know, family connections or anything, I would probably be a lone wolf also, because I'm a loner. You know, I'm kind of an introverted type person for the most part, and kind of loner out in public. And so that there is an appeal to being a lone wolf. And if you're really good at it and you really know your stuff, you know, you might be successful. But for the average person, there is a very high risk at being a lone wolf. And especially if you have a family to take care of. If you have a family to take care of, you can't be on alert at all times to protect them. At some point, you've got to rest. And there's going to be times that you could be sick or injured, so that's going to keep you down. So thinking about in the future, if something happens, you know what hits the fan, you may need, and most likely will need, some type of community around you to maintain you know, your protection and to maintain your survivability, you know, level. And so right now is the time to start doing that, of making connections with people. It may be, you know, in a MAG, like a, you know, mutual assistance group. It could just be with people that you know in your area that share the same interests, that you're kind of working together, and you have an agreement that, you know, if something happens, that we're going to kind of pull together and help each other out. It could be as people all living on the same piece of property, or people just living in a, you know, closeness of a, you know, region that you can get to pretty easily. So it takes a lot of different, you know, looks a lot of different ways for different people, and that's okay. But the point of this video is making those connections. Some of you already have, and for those of you that have, that's great. But there's a lot of you that want to, but are afraid to. And I'll admit, there is a lot of danger in making these connections with people, because you don't know really who you're talking to. You don't know who they are. And so there's this worry of, you know, is this person legitimate? Is this person crazy? Is this person undercover? You know, what's going on with them? How do you just meet someone? You don't just walk up to someone and say, hey, you know, are you a prepper? They might think you're crazy. But the thing is not so much anymore, I don't think. You know, there's so many people now that are really embracing this mindset that we have to be more prepared. We have to be more self-sufficient. It's becoming a large movement. The thing is you want people that, you know, kind of legitimate. You don't want someone that thinks it's cool but really doesn't understand it, or really isn't doing it, so that they're just going to kind of ride in on your coattails, because then that's just going to bring you down. It's going to create a burden on you and your family if something actually happens and they're part of your group. Sorry, I'm dealing with I think I got a cold coming on, so bear with me, I ask, because it's my throat and nasal and all that stuff's going on today. It's in full force. So Anyways, you've got to kind of vet people, kind of get through kind of the junk and figure out if these people are legitimate. Some of the ways is, if you meet someone that's just very, very bragging about what they know and what they can do, and they're kind of that one-upper, you talk about something and they're, yeah, well, I've done this. Well, I have this much. Well, I've had this kind of training. And they're constantly trying to one-up whatever you're talking about, or bragging about all the stuff that they've done or all the stuff that they have. That could be an indicator that they're full of it. Maybe not always, but in my experience, it's usually an indicator that this person likes to talk a lot about themselves, but they may not know as much as they think they know. So be cautious of that. Be cautious of someone that's asking a lot of detailed questions of you right off the bat. That's also something, it could be they're just curious. They may be new to it and they're curious, but be cautious of someone that's asking a lot of details about how much you have and where you store it and what are your plans and that sort of thing, because, that could be, a red flag also. Meeting these people, you can still probably meet people online that make the connections. I've met people that I've met online and ended up meeting them in person later on, and ended up building a good relationship. But you want to, regardless, make face-to-face contacts with people. Don't just base everything on meeting someone online. Look for groups that meet locally. That could be a good place to meet them. There's still, that meetup.com, Facebook. There's some prepper type networks online. If you just, I think, do a Google search of like prepper networks or how to meet preppers online, you'll find some websites. There's 2 or 3, I believe, and I can't think of the web addresses right now, but there's 2 or 3 that have a website where you can kind of connect with other preppers in your location. So that could be a good place to meet them. Places like your local church or synagogue could be a good place to meet them. How do you start the conversation? You walk up to someone and just say, hey, are you a prepper? Do you have a bunch of guns and food and all that kind of stuff? Yeah, probably not. Maybe start off with things that are not considered quite as confrontational. Yeah, my family and I, we try to do as much natural, medicine as we can. We try to do, herbal teas and things for when we have colds and stuff. So, we try to not do too much, pharmaceuticals if we can. That could be a way to start the conversation. Or, boy, what do you think about this financial situation? I mean, it looks like, it's just about ready to burst. Get a conversation going and kind of, feel them out. A lot of times, you can just kind of get a feeling in the beginning of like, well, this person just might be that kind of person. Meaning they might be, they might be a prepper. They might be, into self-sufficient living and things like that. Local homeschool groups could be a place. Homesteading groups could be a place. A lot of homesteaders are also of the preparedness mindset, which is a lot of reason why they live, that more, out in the woods, raising their own food kind of lifestyle. So that could definitely be a place to find them. Kind of start the conversation. I wouldn't get too deep into the conversation too quickly. Just kind of open it up. Basically you want to open the door and see if they walk through that door. You want to see how they take it. And they could be just as cautious of you. They may be thinking the same thing, and they may be just as cautious as you, and that's okay. And if that's so, that could be the right person. It could be someone. Now, here's the thing. In the end, let's say you meet people. This may be a decent person to go to a meeting with and talk about, how to do food storage, and how to can your food, or how to do, make a rope out of weeds growing or something like that. They may be good for that kind of stuff. But are they the kind of person that you want to live with? Are they the kind of person that if it all comes down to it, that you want to be spending every day of your life or many days of your life with them? Are they the kind of person that you would trust your life and your family's life with? They may not be. So you have to think of that. Just because they're knowledgeable, just because they're a decent person, just because they're probably not, they're probably trustworthy to a certain extent, doesn't necessarily mean they're also the kind of person that you want to, open your home and your property, or go to their home and property if something happens, or to really work together on that kind of level. So you're going to have to get to know the person really more on a personal level. Once you kind of open that door and you realize, okay, this person's a prepper, this person's a homesteader, this person's into self-sufficiency and stuff, we kind of, have a lot of the same interests. You really need to spend some more personal time. Maybe your group, you could form a group, or the group that you met them in, maybe they host like outings, like a camp out, or going to the gun range, or where there's more personal, cookouts, that kind of stuff. Get to know them a little bit more. In this stage, I would still be cautious. You may not want to just invite them over to your home right away. I wouldn't. Maybe these events need to be, or they should be, held somewhere in kind of a safe area, because when you're getting to the point of meeting someone and actually planning with them, you're bringing more families, maybe 2 or 3 families together, to start making plans on what to do in an emergency, to where those plans would include your families either living together, or defending themselves together, or gathering, and cooking food and things like that, where you're doing things together in a vulnerable state, to where you have to really depend on that other person and really trust them with yours and your family's life. You want to make sure that this person is worthy of that. So you have to be very careful about who you let in. And I try not to be a pessimist. I don't think that I am. I consider myself very optimistic. But when it comes to my family's safety, I'm gonna go kind of above and beyond to make sure that who I'm dealing with makes me feel somewhat safe. And I think in the end, at least for me, I'm always going to be cautious. No matter how well I know the person, no matter how well I get to know the person, I'm always going to be cautious, and that's okay. It's okay to always be, on the safe side of things. To maybe never let them know all the details. I wouldn't let anyone. I can't think of anyone outside my family that I would ever let know, the full details of what I have or what I plan to do, or where I plan to go. Because in the end, everyone, no matter how good you know them, their number one priority is themselves and their family. And if they had to choose between your life and their family's life, they're most likely going to choose their family's life. So always, always, always be cautious of that. I did a video on my my Patreon. Sorry, my mind went blank for a second. I did a video on my Patreon channel today, talking about how to be cautious online, and it's something that we all know about, but we all need to be reminded from time to time to be careful about what you talk about online, what information you give out online. I don't care if it's in a private group or anything. Still be cautious of that. We have to be careful about what information we give out and who we make connections with. So anyways, that's about all I have for today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.